What's up and welcome back to Nowstalgia Best of 2022 music. Dave, we just did our best albums of 2022. Now we're talking best songs, but before we do, this year was a big year for K-pop, and we wanted to talk and give a little shine to some of our best K-pop projects this year. And obviously, we do not get to everything, but we do our best to try to get to some of the bigger releases. How many did we get to this year?
Yeah, we got to a lot, and that's why we want to highlight our best K-pop album, single, and B-side, deep cut track. And that's because we covered a lot. I think by my count, we covered 15 K-pop records in no order. We did the Girls' Generation comeback, NCT 127, Chungha, ATEEZ, BLACKPINK, Nyan Solo, Twice, J-Hope, RM, New Jeans, ITZY, Twice. Sorry, we did ITZY twice. aespa, Treasure, BB, and Stray Kids. I believe that's everything. And of course, we've been doing this for years in the past as well. So we are trying to cover it as much as we can because it's a exciting and vast genre that also gives us music on a consistent basis. So it's, I think, quite fun to keep up with and compare and contrast as things come out. And especially nowadays, into the 2020s, there's a lot of new groups and groups young in their career that are stepping up as like kind of the next wave of that fourth gen K-pop. So it's an exciting time, I think, to be paying attention. So that's why we wanted to, think, really double down this year.
Yeah, you mentioned so many. Did you mention RM? Maybe I missed it.
Yep, yep. We
Okay.
just did that last week. Check
Yeah,
it out, Indigo.
RM. That one's been sticking with me almost as one of the ones I picked. But we're gonna do our favorite albums, or the best album from K-pop, and that as well as our best like big song, as well as a deeper cut as well. And I'll actually start because this is something we've talked about a lot. And I mean, what more is there to say about Blackpink finally getting that album? Eight songs. So it is an album. I put the Yeah Yeah Yeahs on my best album list. They only had 8 songs as well. So putting out the same uh product, or same at least length of product as the AAS. But Blackpink, I mean, from the moment we got Pink Venom as a single, it just felt like this was going to be huge. And I will say, surprising that Twice, as a group, it seems to be getting more love, at least through Spotify
Yeah,
metrics,
in the United
um,
States specifically, not
in the United
worldwide.
States. But I really loved this album. Pink Venom, excellent. Shutdown is on our Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist as well, because also a freaking banger.
Yep.
But even some of the farther ones. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shutdown is huge. Stay tuned for my songs list, maybe for more Blackpink. But yeah. Then right after that, you have Type of Girl. You
Yep.
have Tally. Like, I think it's exactly what you want from Blackpink in terms of their music. These big songs, these fiery raps from Jenny and Lisa. They sound as good as they ever have rapping, I think. Uh, yeah, I Born Pink is probably my second album choice for this year, and my only demerit is I just wish it was longer. Blackpink is so notorious at this point for being very slow and meticulous with how much music they put out there, and I just want to hear more because when they do put it out, it's so fun, it's so good, you know.
Absolutely agree. What was your favorite album this year, or best album?
Yes. So my number one album, K-pop album of the year, is Nayeon's solo debut, I'm Nayeon, which really surprised me. She's the first Twice member to go solo. I had no expectations going into this, but really, I think blew me away with like its like summery aesthetic. I think just sonically, it has this like lighter vibe, but it's still pretty up tempo and fun. Pop and Candy Floss and No Problem, just catchy song after catchy song. I think she sounds great as well, but like it's a perfect match, I think, with the production. So that was one that I think really had a ton of replay value, and I found myself going back to often.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Nyan was up there for me as well. Actually, as we're moving on to our best songs, Pop was probably my best K-pop song of this year. I mean, obviously, it has that Christina Aguilera vibe to it of like Candyman, but man, just so sticky and fun and upbeat. And in past years, we've talked about artists like NIKI,
Mhm.
who dropping in the summertime, just an absolutely
Right.
amazing pop song, and this is just in the same lane where it's just so fun to listen to, and every time you put it on, you can't help but smile and like want to dance around and just feel it. And Nyan, I think that whole album deservedly your best album of the year, and pop my number one K-pop song of the year. What's your number one K-pop song of the year?
Yep. So my number one would be Blackpink, Shut Down. Spoilers for the songs list. When I heard Pink Venom, I was like, wow, this is great. Really exciting. I'm digging the video. I'm digging the dance practice video. I am hyped for Born Pink. And when you hear Born Pink, Pink Venom, followed up with the second single, Shut Down, I'm like, holy shit. They beat themselves. I don't know how they did it so quickly, but they leveled up right away again.
Yep.
Uh, right up there with probably my favorite Blackpink songs. Uh, just so big, it's so fun. Another really cool dance practice video. I think those like choreography videos they do are super good, super cool. And yeah, I think Lisa and Jenny are amazing on this. But also like Rose and Jisoo also kind of flexing, also kind of getting a little mean. It's just so fun to hear them honestly flex. Like that's what I love from them because like they're such rock stars, they're such superstars at this point, and like I want to see like the nice like fun ones like Rose and Jisoo be like, nah, like we fucking got this shit. Like, because obviously I expect that from Jenny and Lisa as the rappers, but I think this is really fun. Like the overall like level of bite and like on that song. So yeah, it was my number two most played song of the year on Spotify.
Great song. One of the big reasons why that was my favorite album of K-pop of this year.
Hmm.
For your deeper track, Dave, what do you got?
Yeah, so my deeper track is Girls' Generation, uh, Forever One, the comeback album, and off that would be Lucky Like That, which I was like, is that a single? Because it kind of felt like one. It was not, so it qualifies as a deeper cut. Yeah, man, I think just the harmony on that song is like
Mm.
untouchable. I think it sounds so good. Like it sounds so majestic the way they all sing together. And also we reviewed that album. Really compelling to see like a K-pop group come together again 15 years after their career. They're on new label deals. Some of them aren't even on the same label anymore. To see like a huge storied group come back and release something so compelling in that way, like that album was, I think is really impressive. I love Villain off that album as well, but I think Lucky Like That, like the vocal performance is like up there, probably like one of the best, if not the best, like K-pop like vocal performances I heard this year.
Absolutely, definitely a worthy choice. One of the biggest news stories in K-pop this year was that BTS is going to be going on a hiatus as they do their mandatory military service,
Hmm.
and planning to reconvene hopefully in 2025. It seems we just talked about RM, but one of the most surprising in the best way possible releases from this year was Jack in the Box from J Hope back in
Yep.
July. And what I found so surprising about it was how much bite and edge it had. And it was more rock infused, almost like 90s, like rock EDM infused, really interesting. And so my deep cut is more from Jack in the Box. A song that starts off with these like just like very sparse, like almost like distant drums. And he just kind of is like gliding over this at the beginning, and then it really like starts to rev up around the chorus, and he goes into this like distorted like I don't even know exactly how to describe it. It sounds like he's like singing down a hallway in a sense, but he's like screaming, and it's just so intense, and I just love the vibe of this song.
Hmm.
One of the most surprising K-pop songs that I listened to this year, and one I found myself going back to a lot more than others.
Totally. Yeah, I think if there was like a best surprise category or biggest surprise, it would definitely be him because J Hope was famous for being the top dancer in
Hmm.
BTS. You know, he was not known for doing a ton of the writing and production the way RM was. He was not known for uh, this really high register like Jimin. You know, he had his lane. He was part of the crew. You know, and yet I think that's why to me it was like so compelling. It's like wow, there's like so much more under the hood here. And yes, he had some solo work out before, but like yeah, it was really compelling. I think technically More is actually a single, but we'll let it slide. It's a good pick, good record. So yeah, I think the takeaway is there was a lot of compelling and variety across K-pop this year, and I'd expect that to continue as the genre continues to evolve. It's very fun to keep up with.
Definitely very fun to keep up with. Dave, we're going to go on to our top 10 songs of this year. Before we do, I just wanted to ask, we did a little preamble before the album, just kind of talking about our experience. When you were choosing songs, obviously we're uh, trying not to overlap with our best albums list as much as possible, what was your experience picking out like the best songs of this year for you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think overall, it feels a lot less populist when you make a songs list.
Mm.
If you want it to be, like, I think it's just a lot easier to get there, because a lot of the big hits are really concentrated from a few artists, a lot of older albums as well, as we talked about before. So if you're trying to make a song list of songs that are from this year, that's not necessarily going to be the biggest songs of the year. So
Uh-huh.
I think I was just trying to make an interesting list that I think that you have to make a compelling list first and foremost, but and not overlapping with the albums is an extra thing we put on ourselves. But yeah, I just kind of I picked songs I think made sense to me, that really grabbed me for one reason or another, and also stuck with me since I heard them. So kind of a general approach, but I think generally people know like TikTok knows how to make a hit for various reasons, whether it's gimmicky or not. Um, doesn't mean the song is always great, but sometimes it is a great song. I have a song on here that is a TikTok hit, but I mean, I heard it the day it came out. I was a fan right away. So TikTok was just an added bonus for other people to find the song. It all depends on how you approach these things.
Yeah. I feel very similar in terms of my approach to the songs list. In past years, I mentioned this on the albums, but in past years, it feels like there's a few songs that rise to the top more than others. And this year, I feel like, I was trying to decide, is this a song that I really, really love or a song that just got stuck in my head because I was on TikTok so much this year? And in doing that, a few of the songs I initially had, I moved off something like Lizzo's About Damn Time, which I actually, when I get to the song I replaced it with, I will explain why. But it, I think in looking through what I ended up with, it's a lot more of a mix than my albums list, a lot more different genres, and a lot of heavy hitters in terms of artists,
Mm,
that I think didn't make the best projects in terms of full length albums this year, but had just a couple of tracks that I really, really wanted to highlight. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. Dave, will you allow me to start?
yeah, go ahead.
Number 10 for me, Brockhampton's The Ending, because that Willie Hutch sample is just the best sample of the fucking year. Like,
Yep.
when I
Honorable
was
mention for me. Great choice.
when I was going through the list, I like had a few at my number 10 spot. A few that didn't make my list, like Antihero by Taylor Swift, Kalani's Wish I Never, a few tracks I was kind of going between. And then as I was like scrolling through, I saw the ending and I played it, and the second that Willie Hutch sample comes in, that "Let Me Be the One," I just was like, "Yep, let's fucking go." And not only that, but Kevin, very like reflective on that track. The second verse, especially, kind of talking about monetizing his friendships and how that's really uh, impacted him and Brockhampton as a group, and kind of like wondering like if he can kind of get back to where they were. So not only a song that has an amazing sample, probably the most Kanye West song, like old school Kanye West song of the year, and obviously we love Kanye on this, but also a track with meaning, and that whole album, The Family, I think worth talking about, but the ending was the one that stood out for me from that. So that's my number 10 of the year. What do you got, number 10?
Yep. Number 10 of the me. Number 10 on the year for me. Best songs of 2022. Just talked about this in our K-pop breakout. Blackpink,
Hmm.
Shut Down. My second most played song on Spotify this year. Really became a gigantic Blackpink fan the lead up to Born Pink this year. And after hearing Pink Venom and being so compelled and so excited for the album to come out, then you hear the album and the second single, the second song, is even bigger and better than Pink
Hmm.
Venom, which was already so big and compelling and fun. It really been sending me still. Like, I love the song. I love the video. I love the dance practice video. I think Jenny and Lisa, it's probably their best rap verses they've ever done on any of their songs. They sound so great. Like I know they don't write their songs. They're not like true rappers like that, but they have like really good flow for people that have picked it up, and it's just so fun. And as I said before, I love that Rose and Jisoo also are bringing like some bite and some like flexing to the songs because they're usually like the nicer vocalists, quote unquote. So Yeah, in terms of like just a massive pop banger, it's hard for me to compare it to much else. I love the song.
Yeah. We talked about why we love Blackpink, but the second those strings come in and then you get their Blackpink in your area, it's just you're fucking done, dude. You're in for the rest of the song, and it's just amazing how they were able to make a
Bunch
second
of
song.
wannabes that wanna be me. Me three if I was you. Like, say
Just
less.
incredible, incredible stuff. I'm gonna keep it rolling to my number 9 song of the year, which is the Arctic Monkeys "Body Paint."
Okay.
I had to shout them out somehow. We got an Arctic Monkeys album this year, similar to Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, bit, kind of continuing this jazz lounge singer feel. But Body Paint was one of the tracks that really stood out to me for, I think, infusing a little bit more of that old Arctic Monkeys charm. The first half of the song is like this like waltz ballady song, but then in the middle it flips and the guitars come in, and after this like piano buildup, and it's just this really wonderful moment, and you get Alex Turner being at his most Alex Turnery, just like singing body paint on your legs and on your arms, and the guitars are going. You're like, you can get a little bit of Arctic Monkeys when you want to, but they're not quite the same monkeys that they used to be. That's for sure. But body paint, a nice callback from me. So my number 9 of the year, Arctic Monkeys, body paint. Dave, I know that didn't make your list. What's your number
Pat, it's me. Hi. I'm the
9?
problem, it's me.
What
Taylor
honorable
Swift.
mention for me, as I already said.
Yep, Taylor Swift, Antihero. Lead single, big single off Midnight's, her album of 2 months ago, her 10th record.
Did you put
Man.
this on because you also think people are sexy babies and you're a monster on the hill? That's a Matt Healy line, dog.
It is. Pat, did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as altruism. Like some kind of congresswoman, man, whatever.
It's actually a really great line.
It is. I think it's like the most quintessential Taylor Jack song. Like it's all those qualities that they have together. Like I think people have compared it to Blank Space, like sonically. It doesn't reach those highs. That's one of the best Taylor songs, obviously. But it to me it's like the clear highlight of Midnight's. Maybe it's not the most interesting song on the album. We reviewed the album extensively, check that out. But like to me, like it's just the most easy to revisit, and it's such a obvious showcase for like the qualities of Taylor Swift, which is that songwriting. Cause that's effortless songwriting, and I think Jack really brings the best out of her with matching that production and helping her like hone those lyrics and stuff. Like it's one of her catchiest songs in a long time.
Hmm. Yeah, there's not much more to say about it. It's really just Taylor in her bag, and the way that she's able to write these songs with lyrics that are pretty like thoughtful, meaningful, and uniquely written compared to other pop songs, but still make it so palatable and fun to listen to is just such a testament to her songwriting. Great choice. Keeping it going, this was the song I replaced Lizzo with. Jessie Ware's "Free Yourself." We didn't
Hmm.
talk about this song. Jessie Ware hasn't released a project this year, just a single. But back in 2020, Jessie Ware's "What's Your Pleasure" was an under the radar, critical darling of an album. And so Jessie Ware, an artist that I've been aware of, and "Free Yourself" might be the best disco song of this year. And we that comes in a year where we had Renaissance, where there's this great disco dance album that we just both put at number 1 in our albums list. Check that out, and the link in the description. But "Free Yourself" is just so much more like joyous than "About Damn Time" to me, and it just has a better hook. And the way Jessie Ware performs this, it's like so emotional and powerful, and just makes you want to get out of your seat and dance. And I was just completely blown away by it. If you haven't listened to this, definitely a track I recommend you listen to, and it's on our Nostalgia Best of 2022 playlist, so check it out there. Let's keep it moving, Dave. What's number 8 for you?
Number 8 for me, Jackson Wang, Cruel.
Mm,
Another big
good one.
surprise for me. The GOT7 alum, K-pop alum, but Jackson Wang with his album Magic Man, and Cruel was one of the singles for it. Really surprising with a genuine and convincing foray into more rock music from a K-pop artist. And I think the songs "Blow" and "Cruel" in particular are just, I think, really compelling because the Jackson vocal performance, I think, is like super enthusiastic, and you have like these huge guitars and these big drums, and unlike like any, anything I really heard this year too, because like I don't know, I just think like the energy he brought vocally matching with this production like really surprised me, and I've definitely found myself revisiting "Cruel" a lot. Yeah, not much more to say. I think it's a catchy song, but it's also, I think, a really surprising one too.
Great choice, Dave. Going from a song that is big and loud and over the top a bit to a song that is quite understated with Joji's "A Glimpse of Us." One of the maybe surprising like hits of this year. A
Definitely.
com- Joji is a completely like popular artist at this point, very much in the culture. But the fact that he puts out this song that is so like melancholy and sad and just like down, and it's something that blows up on TikTok. It blows up on the charts. It's just a testament to Joji's talent. And you think about what made Joji so great in the past, it was making these songs that you just didn't expect and had these really big moments and just like totally overstimulating. And Glimpse of Us is just completely him in his feels with a piano and a couple of voice loops for harmony. And he just absolutely crushes it. And even though that album, Smithereens, was not one that I even considered for my top 20 of this year, I think there's still a lot to like in there, and I think Joji as an artist just continues to grow. So, looking forward to what's next for him,
Mhm.
and Glimpse of Us is a nice addition to his catalog for sure.
Yeah, definitely the most shocking top 10 hit of the year, without
Yeah,
question.
definitely. What's next for you?
Yes, next for me would be number 7, Nikki, back on the song list for the second year in a row.
Yes,
High School in Jakarta,
yes,
off her
great one.
third album, Nicole. I had her song last year, Every Summertime on the list. You did as well, a song that really came out of nowhere for us as a cut off the Shang-Chi Marvel soundtrack that 88 Rising oversaw. And it was a infectious bubblegum bop song, the best song she had ever made. And I was like, wow, should have saved this for your album, but I'm still glad you put it out. It's an amazing track. And now we got her third album, Nicole, which was, I think, really notable for Nikki once again showing a new sonic direction for her still young career. She's done so much, in terms of more traditional R&B and more synth pop in the past. But on this album, probably her most personal yet. But to me, High School in Jakarta is like perhaps the best songwriting she's ever done. Like I find it incredibly catchy on the hook, but also really illuminating. And I was watching a lot of the live video of the tour she just did, and it was really cool to see like these enthusiastic crowds that she was performing from. Like really love this song, and this song was a bit even livelier in performance, which was really cool to watch. I would definitely love to see her live sometime. Yeah, it's like, I was really aware. I was like, ah, man, do I really put the same artist on my songs list 2 years in a row? But I mean, it definitely was one of those songs that, when I first heard the lyrics, I was like really, really impressed with, and it definitely stuck around. I think again, like the hook, the chorus of this song is like really incredible.
Yeah, Nikki's great, and her song crafting is just impeccable. Really excited to see what's next for her, and that was one that I had considered for my list. So I'm glad to see it on yours, Dave. I'm going to talk about an artist that was on your top 10 list. Vince Staples, Ramona Park broke my heart. Made your top 10, number 6,
Number 4.
number 4. Well, Magic from that is my favorite song and is my number 6 of this year. Just so bouncy and fun, floating to the ceiling. Is this magic?
Mm.
Like
Love costs,
it
but the
feels
game
like it.
free, baby.
Uh, it's it's just such a return to what we love about Vince. Like if you could have told me this was off Big Fish Theory and it would have made sense. Like this is just him in his bag, and he absolutely crushes this mustard with an amazing beat. I think you talked about it better than I am right now, but it's just a song that every time I hear it, I can't turn it off. I have to hear it all the way through.
Mhm.
And not many songs I can say made me feel that way this year.
Yeah.
So my number six.
The best example, off Ramona Park broke my heart. The best example of Vince doing this new direction with his performance and his new flow, more understated, mellower style. But this is arguably the best version of that because you still hear it on this very lively, uplifting production from Mustard. Yeah, it's an amazing song.
Yeah, that flow switch up in the middle is really great by Vince. Just impressive. So what's next for you though? What's your number six?
Okay, number 6 for me, Rina Sawayama.
Yes.
Imagining, or sorry, the song is Imagining. I almost
Yes.
picked This Hell. I thought about it. I think if you looked at the list, more public list, This Hell probably is a catchier song to put on here. I was thinking about it more, and I love This Hell. Awesome country pop throwback song. But I was thinking about it more. I was like, you know what? Imagining's the song off Hold the Girl that excited me the most because it was the most similar to her past work on Sawayama. You know, Imagining is Rina doing a bit of hyperpop, a little bit, doing her best Charlie XCX impression. I just saw this song perform live on the Hold the Girl tour, and it was really fucking hype. Loved it. And yeah, I think the Hold the Girl album didn't quite live up to, albeit high expectations, given the first record. That being said, still a lot of things to like about it. To me, this is like one of the most exciting things she did on that album. And in general, just an artist I still find incredibly compelling.
Great choice. We love Rena on this program. Dave, another artist that we love is Rico Nasty. And one of the most unique songs this year that I it's a song that plays in my head just randomly.
Gots to get paid.
Gots to get paid.
Yep. Honorable
Man,
mention for me. Let's go.
it's so fucking good. From like the automated like countdown, 3 2 1, and then they hit like a bell, and then it's like a boing, and it's just this like sleazy, dark, like slinking song, and Rico just goes so fucking hard over this. She's just bringing so much attitude and Rico personality to this, and it's so catchy. I don't know how anyone can listen to this and not just like want to bob their head and sing along. She's incredible, and she has this like really quick like rapping switch up in the middle, and you just kind of hear all these things that make Rico Nasty just such a singular artist. Gots to Get Paid is just one of my favorite songs of this year by far. It made your honorable mentions. What do you love about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Las Arenas was a bit of an up and down mixtape from Rico, but Gots to Get Paid, I think, is one of the best examples of the qualities I like most about Rico, which is just, I think, her unique presence as a rapper. But yeah, and like the beat is crazy.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I like about some of her other stuff, like on Nightmare Vacation. She's really at home on this like more chaotic sounding stuff.
Hmm.
And when she's also like really bringing it with the rapping, like she is on that song, it's like the whole package for what you like about Rico.
Yeah, absolutely. Great way to sum that up for me. Thank you. What's your number five song of the year?
Number 5, Mitski. Should have been me.
Whoa, Mitski.
I know, right?
Is this my list? What's going on here?
How unlike me. Yes. Laurel Hell did not make the album list, but there was a few moments on Laurel Hell where Mitski, who has become quite the TikTok artist, quite the streaming success, where Mitski was like, you know what? We're going to throw some 80s in here.
Hell
We're
yeah.
going to make a little bit of pop music now. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is pretty cool. And Should Have Been Me, to me, is incredibly catchy. It's just a catchy ass chorus, man. I love this song so much. Not
Yeah.
much more to say.
It's a great one. Also made her one of the best new artists at the Grammys. No, actually, she didn't get nominated, but
Yep.
um, you know,
Maybe 2025 she'll win a Grammy for
yeah,
Best New Artist.
put
The way
out
the
a few more
Grammys work.
albums. Um, no, definitely. I actually, it's funny. I think one of my most overlooked albums from this year. Loved it at the time, just didn't get back to as much as I wanted to. But you're absolutely right. The turn from her to a little bit more mainstream, palatable pop. She does it so well. And it's funny as we're kind of talking about that, like a rock group who also went a little bit more pop leaning, but with a little bit more rock than they typically have is Phoenix. And the song Tonight with Ezra Koenig is
Mm.
just fucking pure rock pop bliss for me. You take Ezra, who is like probably my favorite person in rock right now in general. Love Vampire Weekend. Put them with Phoenix and Thomas Mars, and they just bounce together on this song so well. That chorus, that roll with me, gets stuck in your head so quickly. And they have some great guitars. The drums are just doing their thing on it. And it's just absolutely so much fun. And I just love the song, man. Just love it. Kind of for the same reasons you said about Misky. It's just like pop
Hmm.
and fun, and it's
Yeah.
hard to dislike.
Honestly, I should have mentioned Phoenix Alpha Zulu as an honorable mention album. I just
Yeah.
had a great time listening to that. Sounded great.
Same here. I knew I was going to talk about it here, but I'm glad
Right.
we both loved it. What's your number four?
Number 4 for me, GloRilla.
Ah,
Tomorrow too. Every
this
day the
was an
sun
honorable
won't
mention.
shine. That is why I love tomorrow. Man, talk about the biggest new star of 2022. Certainly the biggest new rap star of the year. GloRilla blows up with FNF earlier in the year, and we talked about her debut EP. Anyway, Life's Great few weeks back, and the second single she dropped was Tomorrow 2, which is essentially a remix of a song she already had made, and you get this amazing Cardi B feature dropping in. And Cardi, I think, really brings it on this track as a guest, and in general, it's one of the best qualities about Cardi B that she's very open and showing love to female MCs coming up, behind her, under her, and I mean, prime shit talking from Cardi, right? She my op, but I don't know her. Had to look her up. It's the funniest shit ever. But GloRilla really holds her own on that song and has become a face
Anointed.
of Memphis hip hop straight
Yep.
up at this point. And the BET Awards performance was really big for her. I'm really excited to see what's next and to get a Grammy nomination for FNF. Uh, the year it came out, like as a brand new artist. Rare example of the Grammys really being on the ball with something.
Hmm.
The same year they nominate Jack Harlow and DJ Khaled, they still find a way to nominate GloRilla. Very perplexing to most of us. That being said, happy for Big Glow here. And yeah, I think it's just it
Yeah.
it really pumps you up, and she's just incredibly exciting new talent.
Yeah. With Cardi B, right? Since we got like WAP, but even before that, things like what was it, Kodak, uh,
Bodak Yellow, back
Bodak
to the
Yellow.
Deba. Yep.
This song reminds me a lot of that in a sense, where it's just like total like braggadocio and just like attitude and personality, and the fact that like she hopped on this track with Glorilla. I can't talk. Fucking holds her own, and they both just are like so confident. It's like it's really hard to dislike that song. Yeah, it's a great choice. It was one of my honorable mentions. It wasn't like top. It wasn't like 11 or 12, but top 15 for sure for me. Kind of switching it up. I probably should put this one with Rico, because Swedish House Mafia back for the first time in 10 years dropping an album. And one of the songs that I found myself listening to most this year was Mafia by Swedish House Mafia. It's a song that has no words, just a EDM song, but it's a grimy feel. It
Yeah.
comes right after Moth to a Flame, their biggest hit since Don't You Worry Child on the album. But the first time I heard this, I immediately hit restart on the song, and I went back again. It just is so dark and grimy, and then the beat comes in and the drums are just fucking hitting. This needs a 21 Savage feature over it. This needs to be used by every rapper to make a hit song, because it is, I think, one of the best songs of the year, and just absolutely love it. So
Yeah, that's an awesome pick. I had a different Swedish House Mafia song as a honorable mention, and that would be Frankenstein
I
featuring
thought you were gonna
ASAP
say that.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I think
that that run, Moth to a Flame, Mafia, Frankenstein, like
yeah,
chef's kiss.
yeah. Wasn't expecting to like that Swedish House Mafia album as much as we did, but
Me
a,
neither.
a pleasant surprise for sure.
Definitely. What's next for you?
Yeah, what's next for me? Technically, this song came out in 2021, but it was December 16th, 2021, when most people's lists were already made, and it was put on a mixtape that came out in January called Capri Songs by FKA Twigs, and this, of course, would be Tears in the Club by FKA Twigs featuring The Weeknd. Um,
Great
Initially, I
pick.
had this song a little further back in the list. I was like, oh, it's kind of old. Maybe I shouldn't put it up so high. And I was like, no, fuck it. I love this song so damn much. I find it incredibly catchy. Has all those things you like about FKA Twigs as this like really intriguing, unique, R&B alternative pop vocalist. But this time we're on a fucking dance track.
Yeah.
And it is so great. Like, I think she sounds amazing the way she rides on those choruses. Watch the music video. The third time the chorus comes back around, there's this incredible synchronized dancing moment. And like I think it really like livens the song if you watch that video. And the weekend too really fits the song with a not phoned in feature by any means. He sounds great on this. He sounds great with FKA Twigs. And she's an artist that I think most people who know about her, she's not super popular. Most people that know FKA Twigs really admire her just for her unique qualities, you know. And of course, we loved um, the album from 2019, Magdalene,
Hmm.
and Capri Songs is an honorable mention, project for me this year. But Tears in the Club, I think, was just right away, like to start the year, which is like one of those like this was like my like song of the year for like the first 3 months kind of deal, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that album has a few bangers off it. Ride the Dragon comes to mind as another track, but great choice for sure. Gonna keep it moving. And Dave, when we do these lists, a lot of the times I try to hedge. I try to, oh, I have a tie at number 10 just so we talk about some more artists. Well, I have a tie at my number 2 this year, but they're both Bad Bunny. So is it really a tie if I say that Después de la Playa and Titi Mi Pregunto are
Ah,
both the number
yes.
2 songs of the year? I don't know. Maybe it is, but I wanted to shout out both
After
of
the
these
beach, you
songs.
have a question.
um, yeah, when we first listened to Un Verano Sin Ti, I think we both were just blown away, and it felt like a Bad Bunny as an artist just is completely exploding even more than he already had. But as you mentioned in our albums discussion, Rosalia just had a more focused vision for her album, and Un Verano Sin Ti is a bit bloated. 23 songs, there's a lot on there, but when you get songs like Después de la Player, which starts off so like I don't know, kind of sparse and almost like futuristic sounding, and then a minute in, it just totally shifts, and it's just this like fun Latin dance track. Or Titi Mi Pregunta, which right from the beginning has this like awesome Latin vibe, but like a little bit bouncier. Like you just understand why Bad Bunny is the biggest artist in the world because these songs are just so fun to listen to. They have so much energy, so much of his personality, and yeah, I couldn't choose between them, so I'm going to be a coward and put both, but both worthy of being at number 2 in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's obviously very well earned. You'll see Un Verano Senti in a lot of album lists. You'll see Bunny tracks on a lot of songs lists. And I think the thing about that album is, even if I don't love like the overall cohesion of the album enough to put it on my list, there are so many contenders for a song list, right? Like you just
Hmm.
mentioned too, but like Me Porto Bonito is
Yep.
damn near Billy already. Moscow Mule. There's just so many Ojitos Lindos. Like there's just so many contenders, right? I think
Yep.
for me, like I think I like Bunny's older stuff a little bit more. I like the kind of harder reggaeton he used to do and was a bit more Latin trap. He didn't do that on this, right? And it was more inviting, and he's a fucking rocket ship now. You
Hmm.
know, this was lighter, it was summerier, right? And that is why he dominated the summer. That is why he's still doing like 80,000 units every week, and like
It's nuts.
the 30th week of the album being out. It's
Hmm.
insane. It's insane. You know, and yeah, you can't speak to the year in music without Bad Bunny,
Talk about Bad
obviously.
Bunny. Yep. Absolutely. All right, we're on to your number 2, Dave. What do you got?
Number two, can I bite your lip? It's a bad habit, baby.
Dave, my number 1. Talk about it.
Our guy Steve Lacy, who we had been a fan of for some time, known about for a while, obviously, member of the internet, the band. He was not a member of Odd Future, but he's connected to Odd Future via the internet. People have been paying attention to Steve Lacy a long time, ever since Steve Lacy's demo, right? He had a lot of hype from a very young age. And a song like Dark Red, gigantic hit for him, right? Really, really blew up on TikTok after the fact, but was a genuine hit and well liked when it came out as well. And what did he do? He decided to make another Dark Red, but he actually
Mhm.
made a better version of it, and it's called Bad Habit. And I remember when I heard this as the lead single to his album this year, Gemini Rights, I was like, holy shit, this is insanely good.
Mhm.
It is definitely Dark Red too, and hats off for doing it again. You really can't fault him for it. And it's been really funny to see what's happened with this song since, as it destroyed TikTok and seems to have really flooded the Gemini Rights tour that Steve Lacy went on, where
Yeah.
uh, newer fans, let's say, of Steve, who probably don't know his catalog as well as his long term fans, seem to be kind of flooding his shows and acting up a bit in the crowd, and it seemed to be getting to Steve, unfortunately. That being said, I think at the end of the day, he'll welcome the huge success that he's had, and of course, he got some Grammy love with this as well. I mean, it's just really catchy, and it's still not compromising at all from what Steve does in terms of like having like the really engaging guitar, right? But like he really knows when to like step it up vocally and like I think get like more impassioned,
Mhm.
like when the and match that with the guitar, like uh really like one of the best examples I think of like all that talent that people have seen for several years with him really manifesting in like just true brilliance.
Yeah. You said it very well. It's very rare when like the biggest, or I don't know if it's the biggest, but one of the biggest songs of the year is also just like a fucking amazing, amazing song. A song that if we had just come across, we would have been like, holy shit, this is a song of the year. But then it also just gets the attention it deserves, which is awesome. Steve Lacy with Gemini rights in general, just is approaching a level of stardom I just never thought he would. He is
Totally.
he's going from being this, like well respected artist, and especially guitarist in the internet, to a legitimate musician, popular musician. And Bad Habit is just like the best example of what he can do, writing a song that is so catchy, that is so well crafted. That breakdown at the end is so unique and something that I feel like is so singular to him. He has so much personality. If you see the picture in terms of on my background on YouTube, but his whole like vibe for this album with his like glasses, like, and the thing around his eyes, um, he's just himself, and this song allowed him to become well known and popular. And I just am so happy for him and so happy for us that we got this song. And it's not it's not even like definitely my favorite song off the album, but it just is the song of the year in my opinion. So I had to put number one. Dave, I thought this would be your number one for sure.
Great point. Thought about it for sure. My number one though is wait. Did you do your number two?
Yes.
That was Bunny,
Uh,
right?
yes, Bad Bunny.
Okay, yeah. So the last one for me. My actual number one would be Burna Boy.
Uh,
Last. My
nice.
number five most played song of the year on Spotify. I didn't love his album this year, Love Demeanor, as much as 2020's album, Twice as Tall. Still had a lot of great qualities about it, though. Burna Boy, of course, like the probably most critically adored Afrobeats artist these days. I don't think he's quite as big as Wizkid, but I definitely like him more. And Last to me was just from the moment I heard it, I believe I heard it as a single first. The moment I heard it, I was like, wow, this is just like one of those like triumphant, happy songs. But like because you have like that like background, I don't want to call it a choir, but like that background chorus that will sing in and kind of like dub over like the burn of vocals at times. Also, it was really catchy there, but to me, like it felt really triumphant, and it often reminded me a lot of that feeling that you get from Beyonce's Renaissance, where it's like this is an album, that is an album about being out in the world again and being happy about where you are, right? And to me, that's exactly how I feel about Last as a song as well, which
Mm,
is this kind of triumphant, crowd pleasing, but like community gathering type vibe as a song. And yeah, I just think it's a really triumphant kind of thing. So number one for me.
great choice. Honorable mention for myself. Um, you know, it's just nice to hear him making these songs. Like I don't even really know how to say it. It's just like Burner Boy is such a, like a wonderful artist, and I just love that he's getting more and more attention. Even if this album wasn't one of our favorites, like he still just makes really compelling and really interesting music. Um, Dave, we mentioned, I think in total, at least 20 songs. I think we also mentioned some honorable mentions that we had. What are some of the tracks that didn't make your list but were close?
Yeah, great question. So I think right off the bat, so I didn't pick songs from
Hmm.
my albums of the year. So if I had plenty of contenders, right? Cuff
Yeah.
It, Beyonce, Price
Mhm.
of Fame, Brent Faiyaz, Part of the Band, 1975, Used to Know Me, Charlie, XCX, uh, Magic, Vince Staples. That being said, didn't pick them, right? So from there, a few we already mentioned that you mentioned Brockhampton's The Ending, Got to Get Paid, Rico Nasty, Frankenstein, Swedish House Mafia. After that, let's see, Nyan, No Problem, Lupe Fiasco, Autobato, Charlie Be Quiet, Charlie Puth, Her by Megan Thee Stallion, Hold My Hand, Lady Gaga off the Top
Mm.
Gun soundtrack. Love that track. Save Me by Empress of, really fun dance pop. Um, Treacherous Twins, I think, is my top Her Lost song by Drake and 21 Savage, but there's admittedly several contenders. This Hell by Rina Sawayama. And lastly, Get Your Mans by Rich Brian and Warren Hugh. Just really fun banger. Great flows from both of them.
Nice, good ones. A few I just wanted to shout out: "Liberation" by Muse,
Yep,
very
good
fun
one.
track. "Western Wind," a song that you didn't love, but I thought was really strong from Carly Rae Jepsen. Bit of a
Right,
different vibe for her. Kalani's "Wish I Never."
good one.
Really love that track. "About Damn Time" by Lizzo.
Hmm.
Like I said, was gonna make my list, but didn't. Um, Jack White put out a few albums this year with some good songs. Taking Me Back was one of my favorites off those. Um, yeah, I think we covered most of them.
Oh, and
Um,
lastly, Dance Now by Jid and Kenny Mason.
mm,
Really catchy, that
that's a
chorus.
good one. That's a really good one. I just want to say real quick, we didn't mention Nas on either of our lists.
That's right.
Nas put out a fucking awesome album this year, and he deserves some attention. So
I know. He's like we're taking him for granted now because he's released
agreed.
four bangers in a row.
Yeah. Um, man, what a year in music. Any last thoughts before we wrap this up, Dave?
No, I don't think so. If you're listening to the songs, make sure you check the link below for the albums list, for the breakdown of best K-pop of the year, most disappointing albums, and of course, stay tuned for best television shows of 2022 and best movies of 2022, as well as your weekly programming. We try and do it all here.
We'll catch you next year.